10:30 p.m. It was the last half hour of my shift, and I just wanted to finish, go home, and leave the routine of frying food and ringing up orders behind me. The kitchen was shut down. The last customers had left, and the restaurant was quiet. It was just the three of us, me at the counter, Lisa clearing the tables, and Mark in the kitchen finishing up. Suddenly, the metallic sound of the automatic door glided through the air, a familiar sound that was disconcerting at this hour of the night. The door opened slowly and a dark figure stepped inside. He was covered by a hood. I was rather annoyed as we were about to close, but here came one of those people who come in at the last minute. He approached the empty counter. I had just finished packing my things, and with some frustration, I decided to go over and greet him in a polite tone. But he was serious, just standing there with his head down, as if he was deciding something. Finally, he looked up, and although I couldn't see his face clearly, his eyes shone with a mixture of impatience and something darker. My body instantly tensed. I asked if he needed anything, trying to sound normal, but my voice was shakier than I had expected. The man didn't answer. His right hand slipped slowly under his jacket, and the glint of metal caught my attention. It was a weapon, and he raised it to chest height. I felt the cold grip of death, and my breath froze. "Empty the register," he said in a dry, firm voice, while with his other hand he pulled a small, clear bag from his pocket and threw it on the counter. My whole body froze. It was as if I was floating outside of myself, watching the scene from above. For a moment, I thought I was dead. I just couldn't move, my hands shaking uncontrollably. My mind was racing too fast, a whirlwind of thoughts. What will happen if I don't? Will he shoot us? Has Lisa noticed? Does Mark know we're in danger? The man banged the cash register with the barrel of his gun, snapping me out of paralysis. "No!" he shouted, and I felt the sharp edge of panic pierce my chest. My fingers barely responded. I fumbled as I tried to open the register. The sound of the bell as it opened was like a death knell. My hands fluttered, shaking, as I pulled the notes out one by one, stuffing them into the bag. As I desperately searched the room for help, I saw her. Lisa was standing at the back of the restaurant, frozen, with a rag in her hands and her eyes wide open, not daring to make a sound. Every second felt worse than the last. I could feel cold sweat running down my back, and every breath was a struggle. The guy still had his gun raised, expressionless, staring at me intently. When I was finally finished, I pushed the bag towards him, praying that it would be enough. "Don't do anything stupid," he warned as he shoved the bag into his jacket. He took one last look at me with a wry smile and turned to leave. But just before the door closed behind him, I saw it, a small detail that chilled me even more. In the back pocket of his jeans, an iPhone with a black and white case was sticking out. It wasn't anything important, but for some reason it felt strange and stuck in my mind. The man disappeared into the darkness of the night, leaving a heavy, dense atmosphere in the place. I could feel my legs shaking so much that I had to hold on to the counter to keep from falling over.
"Are you okay?"
Lisa asked, her voice shaking. I nodded without saying a word, but the truth was that I was not all right. I could feel his presence, as if the air around me had been saturated with his dark energy. The whole restaurant seemed distorted, with shadows lurking in the corners, watching me. Lisa ran to the back, and suddenly I was alone. The silence that followed was worse. It felt like something, or someone, was watching me from the shadows. hiding between the tables. Every little sound made my heart race. The hum of the fridge in the kitchen, the buzz of the lights. Everything sounded like a whisper, as if fear had brought the place to life. I looked at the door, expecting something else to happen. What if he comes back? I thought. What if he never really left? The phone, that damn phone, kept popping into my head. Cops were called. They checked CCTV footage. Man was unidentified because of the hoodie he was wearing. But then they noticed the iPhone in his back pocket with black and white case. The man with iPhone with black and white case was enough to track Brown. Brown was tracked down through surveillance camera and was then arrested.